Psychotechnologies
Psychotechnologies
live.
live.
Woo!
Good to see you, Daniel.
Good to see you as well.
This is a very exciting stream because I'm incredibly stressed.
Dun dun dun.
Like, I don't know how much I want to like describe it as like a wonderful and positive. I'm having a rewarding experience with me being incredibly stressed, but it is quite educational for me. I'm learning a lot about myself and how I work, and incredibly stressed.
I'm interested in that. I'd like to hear a little more about how you work and
How
what
I
is stress like for you.
What is just like, I like how like casual and relaxed you can be when asking that question, because I'm just like, everything's turned, every dial is turned up and everything's at 200 an hour, and I'm like,
how does it feel to be panicking?
I feel like this is the like, you go into anger management and then you're in the class of, this is the anger management class, and they're like, what's it like to be angry? And you're like, fuck you guys, I do not want this. Why am I in anger management classes? This is a waste of my time. They're like, oh, you're really good at anger. That's quite the you're like, whatever. Right. So I guess from my current perspective of the experiencing the stress of the world, everything else seems unstressed and like unnecessarily so.
But everything else seems unstressed.
It's like a contrast. So because I have the like the high stress, everyone else and everything else is just not hard enough or happening fast enough or happening seriously enough. And like I can tell it's in my head, but still it's like, okay, cool. I need to like
everything else kind of gets muted.
Muted? It's sort of, it's less like other things are muted and more like this thing is so loud that everything else isn't coming through as much.
So kind of like when the microphone, when you do it really loud and the microphone goes like,
right,
get like
right. Everything else can't come through because that loud noise is getting in the way. So yeah, my current experience is just like, there's this flavor in me that's like, gotta get things done, like very straight pointing, like insistent, motivated, driven. Like I
concentration, would you say? Kind of like you're in a
sharp and clear. I'd say that I'm like very attached to getting this done, and I can feel it. It is clear how much my attachment is, I think, with my state, because I can also turn it off. I can also just like, I don't care about that. And it's like, but I recognize also that makes a world that I don't want to not care about. Like I want the world in which I do care. And so I'm absolutely committed to suffering with making this happen by like leaning into it and amplifying the stress that it's causing me to make sure that I like try my best and really do get the best outcome possible.
So you're kind of like, this is almost like you're creating your own karmic cycle that you're inside of, that you're choosing to be inside of.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the reason why that this is quite interesting is because we do this all the time, but we're usually not quite so honest about it. Like we forget, we're sort of like, there's an agent here like giving the stress, and then there's an agent here receiving the stress, and I feel like I'm just the one receiving the stress most of the time. But I know beyond a doubt that I'm the one giving me the stress. And so because
you're the cause of your own stress,
right,
and the fear of your own stress,
because of all of my meditative stuff, I can't be delusional and pretend like I can blame my job is making me stressed out. Like, it's no. I am choosing to be stressed out by the work I'm choosing to do. So it's like I said, I can drop it. I can completely drop it and be like, things are fine.
You'd be happier if you dropped it, I think.
I don't I don't really feel happy once I've dropped so when I say drop it, it's like um there's like threads of me that are tense holding onto the thing, like literally tension in my body that are like, remember this thing, we have to be working on this thing, we can't forget it. And so then I can let go of those tensions and sort of let my body relax a bit. And then as I do that, am I happier? Like, it's just a different state after a while. Like, there's a bad habit that we pick up sort of because of, there's a couple of emotions that sort of push us away from things. Like fear is designed to make us run.
Repulsive. Yeah.
Repulse, right? It's a repulsion sort of relationship. And then what we do is we build a repulsive relationship to the repulsive relationship building phenomena. And so like
meta repulsive.
That's right. And so we don't like fear so much unless you've done your work and you've processed it. But what's happened is that our mental state is like trapped away from mental phenomena because we don't like fear so much. And with like a bit of therapeutic work or a bit of like contained support, you can start to notice the mental phenomena and the way that you are habitually aversive to the mental phenomena. And then you can choose to move towards it in such a way that like the mental phenomena isn't actually the problem. The thing that I'm fearful of is the problem, but sort of I forget that. And so I need to reverse the relationship, the habit that I formed to run away from fear. I want to run towards the fear so that I know very carefully and very sharply exactly what I should be fearful of, but not run towards the dangerous thing, right? I want to actually.
So you're running towards like the fear, but not the object of fear.
Right. I don't want to actually be jumping off cliffs. I want to be like,
right. You want to be scared of jumping off cliffs, but you want to.
I want to not be distracted by being scared, right?
Yeah.
I want to be able to know how scary the cliff is, and if I needed to climb that cliff face today, I actually do it while knowing how scared I was, without letting that debilitate me.
Right.
We just have such weird relationships with our emotions. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's like a healthy fear.
Right.
But how does that apply to this situation?
Right. So I can turn off the stress, like turn off the tension and like go and relax. But it's just another state. And then in that state, in this relaxed state, I need to go like, okay, so what am I going to do today? And I get to be like, well, I want to eat lunch. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I don't have that like clarity of direction that I had when I'm holding that tension that says, I want to be doing this thing. I want to be committed to the task that is causing me the stress. And so it just feels like I'm confused about what to do, or like I'm not attached. I'm not motivated to do things. So there's a way in which the tension is causing me motive force. Like it's quite literally encouraging me to stick to tasks.
Mm.
Is
this the best way to stick to task?
Right. So there's a different question here of, am I suffering?
Sure.
Right. Because the reason why it's like, the question is, should I be stressed at all? Am I, and like, is this stress a problem? It would be a problem if I was suffering, if I actually felt, why is the world like this? I hate this. Like that, the extra mental chatter around like not liking being stressed. But if I don't have that, if I'm like, no, I'm opting into this stress, it doesn't at all feel like suffering. It just feels like drive right now.
It's like the stress you choose.
Right. Daniel gets to yawn. I'm like pulling my hair out and Daniel is yawning.
Yeah. What's it like being, I feel like I'm feeling pretty calm right now and you're pretty stressed. What's it like? What's that like? Is that annoying to you? Should we do like a...
I don't feel annoyed particularly. Like you're allowed to be any way you like in terms of emotional states. Like I'm not attached to Daniel should feel stressed with me or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine people would accidentally do that, or like why aren't you being serious enough or something? But I'm not like, I don't need you to be stressed. You're in Canada. You can't come to my retreat.
That's true.
I mean, you could. It would just be like mountain moving to fly here.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be too much stress. And
Let me tell you one thing I know about stress. You could handle it. No.
yeah, but I got things here.
Yeah. And this is maybe like, I'm like, is my understanding limiting my ability to motivate Daniel to come here? Yes. But also I need to like be okay with that. Otherwise people can't say no. And it doesn't feel like I hold a safe container for people to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, I do notice that when people are stressed, they like put pressure on others to solve their problems.
Right.
And it's not really fair.
Right. And what I really want is I want people to join my retreat who are directly self-motivated rather than like they're just joining because I guilted them into participating or something. Because they're not going to be good participants anyway. We're all just going to have a bad time.
Yeah. I have seen that where people just like they'll just come in and follow the instructions, and it's like it's not really what it's about.
Right.
He just pulled himself up. So now he's standing. I'm afraid he's gonna fall. Because he's good at getting up and less good at getting down. So now I have some stress. And I would like
Oh, there you go. You're joining me in the stressful container.
yeah.
I wonder if he can pick up the stress as well. He probably can.
I don't know. He went down, but I don't think he hurt himself. I think he's fine.
I must say, like, there's some interesting qualities to stressfulness. Like, most of my mental faculty is silent and quiet. Like, there's some like dampening of like, don't get distracted. Don't invite new possibilities. Only this one is the one worth creating.
Yeah. It's interesting because I like that phenomenon is fascinating where I kind of get to a point where I'm like, okay, no new things.
Until
right, until like my capacity is increased. But the problem is there's often like the new things like either increase your capacity or like decrease the like the capacity needed for the situation. So often like the solution is in new things.
Right. So there's a possibility that there's a new thought in my mind, like, oh, I should try hit up this person to attend. But I might not be having that thought because I'm single-mindedly focused on like I need to get the retreat to happen. And so I'm missing some potential novelty.
Yeah. You're not able to see the solution.
That's right.
You're just focused.
It doesn't feel like I've blocked anything. Like it's more like I have scrolled through my Facebook feed and looked at who is on the feed, and I've gone, oh, look, that person could know someone, and then I've gone and messaged that person. Like I am catching the like maybe that person will know someone thought, rather than like scrolling through my Facebook feed going like no. I'm going like, oh, maybe like maybe there's a way, maybe there's a way, maybe there's a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, everything's mentally is quite quiet. It's very sharp, very awake as well, very sharp and awake. If I didn't like vividness, it would get really annoying because everything's like on the sharper end of vividness.
That's nice. Like, is your vision also sharp and like things are clear?
Yes. My so for anyone listening and not watching the video, I have a test called, I call it the fingerprint test, that I look at my fingerprint, and if I can see all of the grooves in my fingerprint quite vividly, like my visual field resolves quite sharply onto my fingerprint, then I know that I'm like present and able to concentrate very easily. Some days I'll look at my fingerprint and it'll just be like a finger. I'll be like, yeah, I guess it's my finger. But other days I'll be like, I can see into the crevices in my fingerprint.
You think that's adrenaline?
Kind of. Or like it's quality of mind, right? What is the quality of mind that I'm carrying in this moment? Right.
Yeah, that seems to be much more like a detail or small picture orientation versus
Right. So there's, but fine details don't pop out unless I can attend to them. So unless I'm clear enough and concentrated enough to find finer details.
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't saying it's bad. It's just that
Yeah.
it's like a different salience landscape.
Yeah. It's possible that like you could happen to see fine details. Like you might see a shiny thing in a pile of rocks and recognize it and then go get it because it's valuable. Like even if you're not concentrating very hard, you could still do that because sometimes things do jump out at us. But if you are concentrated, you could probably look at the whole pile of rocks and see the shiny thing quite clearly, as well as all of the other rocks.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm curious about what urges you have in this state. Like what is it? Like what is it that you want to do or like naturally inclined to do or something like that?
Right. So I am still managing, like I have a human body, right? My body will still get hungry. I need to go to the bathroom, like whatever. Those things will still happen.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, the biggest thing is I need to find another participant. So my mind keeps going to like, who can I message? Who can I, how do I like, who do I ask that if they know someone, like, how do I like get the message out? So if I have a downtime enough, it's like, oh, maybe I should message this person. And like, have I thought of this person? Or like, how do
So
I
you're like
find
kind of running through all the people you know that are
right.
kind of relevant.
I happen to know like hundreds and hundreds of people as well. I'm one of those social connector types. So it has got a lot of energy and also like there's the people I know, and then there's the people they know, and then there's the people they know. And if I'm motivated enough, I can ask the people I know to ask the people they know as well. And like I can actually reach quite far if I'm motivated enough and
Right.
connecting enough. And that feels like I can make a force under my own power to get what I want through like 3 levels of connections. Like if I know a couple hundred people and my friend knows a couple hundred people and their friends know a couple hundred people, that's like a couple of thousand, like a reach of a couple thousand.
Yeah. That's really far.
Yeah. If I'm in fact healthily motivated, like or like
right.
clearly, if I have like a clear path to my motivation, I can use that as fuel to drive me to do that.
Right. It does feel like you're motivated.
Mm.
So like to like sort of like contrast that with like the tunnel vision versus like the open space. Like random other solutions, so like people that aren't in your network. So like something popped up to me like
Right.
going to rent. Like I just met a guy today who reached out to me because pitched something to a VC, like I pitched a company to VC. And the VC wasn't interested, but there was this guy in the crowd who was listening, and he wanted to chat about it. So we had a meeting today.
Nice.
And so that's like a very like I don't know. It's just like it's just like it's things that it's something that I would never have been able to figure out or calculate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a very serendipitous situation.
You have a good point that there is more possibility that I can go out to events and I have serendipitous possibility
Yeah.
available to me.
Like going out and getting lucky.
It's not off the table for me, and I need to do it, so it'll take a bit.
Uh-huh.
But like I have 3 days left. Like
Yeah.
it's also like considered producing more content to attract more people. Like, oh, that is within my control.
Right.
So
Right.
like
So it's like these,
building a causal web of actions that is
yeah.
possible for me to do and build on top of.
Yeah. Or like it's almost like indirect actions where it's like, hey, I want this thing, so I'm going to do random stuff until I get it.
Or like I'm going to take actions that get me a little closer until I get it.
Yeah.
But so it feels like the stress in the tension in my body is it's like a substrate on which I can build the map of how to get there. So the stress in my body is like, maybe you should message a person, maybe you should message a person, maybe, right? So then like I'm like, maybe if I message a person, I'll find the person to attend, right? And so amplifying the stress in my body enables me to scaffold the possibilities available to me. Like I have more potential mental map space to consider, how am I going to do this? Like, who do I need to reach out to? Who do I need to motivate?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like right now.
Yeah, that's like that very direct line of sight. Kind of worth versus like embracing the chaos of the universe.
Right.
And letting the universe provide.
I do want to be doing that one as well. Like chaos.
Yeah.
Although I'm aware that if I don't, it's like someone who might say, I want to win the lottery and never buys lottery tickets.
Yeah.
The chaos of the universe will let me win the lottery, but
I'm very much like that. Yeah.
So
I figured your odds don't really go up that much when you buy lottery tickets. So
but they
my
do
odds are
go
pretty
above
much
zero.
Huh?
They do go above zero with a lottery ticket.
You could always win without getting one. Like, random stuff can happen.
Right. Someone else could buy you a lottery ticket, but it's your if you buy your own lottery ticket.
Yeah,
but
I
if
could
you have a lottery ticket versus not having.
Yeah, it could be like the thousandth user on a website, and then get that flashing
You've
pop
won a
up
lot.
that says I've won a yacht.
Right. Such things are possible.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Right. So there's some of that, but also it's like if it's meant to be, but I didn't buy the lottery ticket, how do I there's I know this one. I have a great story for this one. This is there's a man, there's a flood and the man's sort of drowning in the flood, and there's a boat comes along to collect him, and he says, no, God will save me, it's fine. And then a helicopter comes along to like get him out of the flood. He's like, no, God will save me. And sure enough, he drowns and he goes up to heaven and he says, God, I thought you were gonna, I had all this faith in you, God. I thought you were gonna save me. And God says to the man, well, I tried, I sent a boat and I sent a helicopter, and you didn't accept the invitation from the universe to save yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's like, what do you want? I sent you things to save you, and then you didn't take them.
Right. So there's this question of, am I participating? Did I buy the lottery ticket to participate in the causal chain of events in the universe that will cause the thing to happen that I want to happen? Right. So there should be some participation on my part that will cause things to happen as well.
Yeah.
So like, is there,
Yeah. Like
have I not checked my phone for 20 minutes and someone's messaged me who knows someone who might be interested, but I haven't checked my phone, and so then
you haven't responded. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like not extending invitations, I think would be a big.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, there's always this playoff between like the direct strong, like the direct strong action versus the indirect serendipitous actions.
Right. So one thing I want to think about here is that I've talked to a lot of people. I have a lot of friends because I've done lots of goodwill towards lots of people. So I turned around to a friend of mine earlier today and I said, hey, can you post this? Can you ask around? Can you post online? And they just went, yes. But if I was not as good a friend as them, if I had not helped and supported them through their journey, they might have gone like, yeah, not really, or like, no thanks, or because I knew them well enough and they're a good friend of mine, they were able to say yes. Because so it's maybe not my causal action today, but my causal action from the past that has helped to scaffold the possibility in the world to get what I want.
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah. You've been like existing in such a way where things like this are easier.
Right.
Or likely, or...
Right. And there's less and less standing in my way because like I know many people who like growth work because I've been hanging out in this space for such a while and like creating content and writing about what I'm learning and sharing it with people and having calls with them so that they can be better scaffolded in their growth as well. And so there's kind of goodwill floating in the universe. So people may see me post the event and be like, oh, he's doing a thing. Maybe that looks interesting. Like they're willing to get a little closer.
If I was in Australia, I would 100% go.
Oh yeah, that would be. I would have you there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for sure. It's like 24-hour flights. Makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah, totally. I fully understand the geographic nature of the globe that we live on.
Yeah. So this is like intense for you. Like this like may not be like externally so much stakes, but like internally there's a lot of stakes.
Yeah.
And so there's something here about like I really like the way you've been handling this because I know a lot of other people that if they had this pressure, they or stress, their anxiety would be like off the charts.
Right. So I kind of do have the qualities of anxiety to my experience right now, but I take it more like the cool thing about anxiety is it's sort of a fuzzy line between anxiety and excitement. And so I have the aliveness quality that is like rapidly thinking, rapidly moving, like heartbeat up, but I'm taking it as like a motive force to like, I want to do this thing rather than a like demotivating force. Like I'm so anxious, I'm a wreck.
It's like the pressure is like pushing you forwards instead of like getting in your way, you're crushing you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a really hard like shape, I guess, for pressure to be in.
I guess thinking about this for a moment, one thing that I have personally worked on is capacity, like the capacity to be with and the capacity to be open to and the capacity to like amplify difficult experience. And this may sound like a crazy thing, and that is because I wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless they're ready, because like technically I'm having a bad time. Like technically my body is like shaking a bit, my thought stream is like racing. Like technically this could be seen as having a bad time, but I have practiced.
Can you share your symptoms, like more of that? Because I didn't get that. You seemed very like I don't want to say calm, but not panicky. But like now the things you're sharing are like the symptoms I get when I'm panicking. So like racing thoughts, you have elevated heart rate, sweaty palms.
So I have like, there's not that much sweat. I have a little bit of like an acid reflux thing here. That's there. There's like a level of wakefulness energy that's around that is like, if I wasn't good at this, it would be like, would be coming out as agitation. It would be like, oh, my body's really not comfortable. Like I seem to be not able to do anything to relieve the discomfort.
Mhm.
I'm
So like a lot of agitation.
this would be agitation if I wasn't aware of it and mindful and like having that agitation be deliberately part of my experience.
Wow. What's it like? Like, so you've kind of accepted this agitation as
It feels
like,
kind of powerful, actually. In a good way, absolutely feels powerful. In a bad way, like it could be scary if I wasn't ready for it or if I didn't feel like I was competent to manage a level of agitation. But like I just have the right now I just have the good side of it. Like, oh, I could like my agency extends to if I message this person and then they message another person, like I don't just feel like the power is my ability to like ask people, would you like to come along? It's like my power, my sense of my power has extended out into other people. Like and that like I have to believe that other people are going to ask their friends before I'm willing to ask them and risk potentially my social credit or whatever on asking for a favor, right? I don't because like we live in this world of complex social contracts. If you just ask everyone, if you just like spam people, they're just going to block you, right? If you do this the wrong way, it's not going to work. So there's all of my like mental constructs that are describing to me how I could do this, are like trying to warn me, like, hey, don't do it like that, don't do it like that. But if I'm not present to them, I'm about to screw up. So I need to all of them amplified to make sure. And then I need the part of me that's still motivated to like find a pathway through. Otherwise, I'm gonna like I could just skip it, right? But it's not gonna work.
Yeah, and you've got all this like pressure, and then there's something about like when you're talking to people, you're not really allowed to put that pressure on them,
Right.
because then it's like that's bad, right?
Well, they'll just like push back. They'll be like, no thanks, you're being weird. Or like, no thanks, you're pressuring me.
Yeah, yeah, that's so interesting. And then, but there is like a kind of like there is like a part of you that wants what's inside you to be inside them, like to share that connection and those feelings, because that's how you're going to, like, that's how you get people like on board with things, is that you share like the emotional story,
Mm.
but you also have this emotional story of pressure, and so
Mhm.
you want to share the emotional story of like the retreat being amazing, but not the pressure to get someone.
Right. Well, I want the pressure to like move through the channels of emotional color, like color in my experience to the like the retreat is very powerful, so that the meaning goes from the pressure into that, and I say it in a meaningful way that is impactful and has someone go, wow, that sounds great, I want to come along, rather than the pressure moves in a way that I'm like, I'm putting pressure on you, and have them go, wow, I don't want to come along.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very skillful uh operation of a level of uh, built up energy. We one of our earlier episodes we did what is energy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a like I'm almost playing a game with myself. I'm turning up the energy and then I'm like moving the energy through my system so that it can uh, be directed into the world to do what I want it to do through my actions. And like game sort of like diminishes it in some ways. So it's not quite a game. It's quite kind of more serious.
It's like real life.
Yeah. Which is infinitely more terrifying than a game, right? This is like a trick we do with ourselves. We're like, real life is just a game. And that way I have permission to play at high stakes without feeling like it's high stakes.
Yeah.
But actually, real life is quite high stakes. And if you're ready to feel that, it burns. This is leaning into some of the contents of the retreat, but also the tantric philosophy of being in touch with reality kind of burns a bit. Like, I think this is kind of like why weed is such a good drug for so many people, because it sort of detaches you from real, like things just go a little floaty, you get a little high, like that's and takes the edge off of just how serious and how high stakes reality is if you let yourself feel that.
Yeah.
Topic of retreat, tantric teaching, tantric point of view. Not like tantric sexuality, but classical tantra has this philosophy. So remember how we were talking a couple episodes ago, we talked about 3 schools of Buddhism being the impermanence school, the unsatisfactoriness, and the no self school. Well, so you see the impermanence of all things in the world, and then you realize how much you're suffering because of the impermanence. And then you realize that the only person suffering was the self anyway. And he's not such a big deal. But also, like, other people really feel like they're suffering because their self feels like it's suffering. But you're left with this third school where you're like, what is the point of having a self? And there's an answer to this question, which is there's a point of having the self, which is to get in touch with reality, to know what it's like to be human, to like invest in and be in the world as a human. And that's a very powerful teaching. And so there's a line from Ram Dass, which is, you were born a human. Why don't you try taking the curriculum? Try learning what it's like to be a human, learning what it's like. Like, we spent all this time getting up and out and spiritual that we forgot we are still humans in here. And like, what if you are a multi-dimensional, multi-universe spiritual being, but you're having a human experience? You got to like get really good and get really into having that human experience. Like life is about having your human experience right now. I don't care how many dimensions you think you're on. Like, human experience, very uncomfortable, really shitty human experience when you have to take out the trash and you're arguing with your relatives and you have stress in your life. But it's still, that becomes a choice. You have a choice to join this stress in the human realm and have fun with it and know what it's like to be invested in something.
Yeah. And I find that gives you a lot of the motivation to get out of that. In like a good way, like good motivation.
Right. Your life is what you make of it, which makes a lot of sense when you're like, oh, I get to choose to be an awesome human. Like, hell yeah.
And so, like, right now, would you say like you're really in this human experience of the human trying to run the retreat and needing an extra person?
Right. So I'm like, there's like a suffering here of like, I want really bad to get this thing to go well, to get an extra participant, to get my retreat to go well, to get it to happen. And that wanting, it's like, there's a way in which it burns. Like, wanting things hurts. Like
kind of feeling that, yeah.
But there's some like truth to that burn of like the truth of reality, that sometimes it's hard to get what you want, and sometimes getting what you want is fire. It's like, ow, but I want it. I still want it, even though I like, I can let go. I can be like, what is the point of anything? Retreats are just a construct. Like, nothing really matters. That's fine. But there's this burning, like, I want the burn. I want to be in the world. I want to be getting that thing. Like the passion, the fire, the truth of what it is to be here like a human, suffering like the rest of us for what we want. It's very powerful.
So you're like more human now and more relatable.
I hope so. Like, there's a way in which spiritual people are just like, yeah, man, we're all connected. But then
love weed.
right. It's got that like kind of disconnected belief, but like, I can see we're all connected because I'm so disconnected that everything's about the same. But like, to come back down and be all like, I am like me and you are like me in a uncomfortably human way is a different way to see it.
And still not letting that yearning or burning to overtake your common sense or your like perceptions or like your clarity or perspective.
Right. So I want to speak to this that is in me without actually burning you. I want you to, like, if you want to opt in to join me on the burning burning journey. Like this is
I'm
what's
starting to
going
feel
be.
it. Yeah. I don't know that I want to do that. I don't mind enjoying this with you,
Right.
but in general, like
Well, it does feel scary to get closer
work
to
that.
the burning thing.
It's not just scary, it's that I feel like I don't work best with that. Like sometimes that happens, right? Like it's crunch time and
Mm,
shit goes down and you need to deal with it. Um, but usually I'm like a big part of it is mitigating it. Like at that point, I'm also looking for like I'm willing to sell off future gains for present
right,
decrease in tension or something.
right. So definitely part of the reason why I can go into the tension and stay in it is because I've done heaps and heaps of the like relaxing thing. You know, what if the world was already perfect? What if everything was happening exactly as it needed to be? What if you could just let go if you needed to do nothing and you could make peace with the world exactly as it is? There's a little
Yeah.
bit of suffering, there's a little bit of shit, right? Now you can have as much of that as you like. How many days do you think you need to sit in that before you're like, but I want something to happen? like it's nice for a while. First you're like, finally I can relax. And then like an hour later, you're like, still relaxing, this is great. And then a day later, you're like, okay, can something happen now? Like I'd like something to happen now.
Mhm.
And that's a like, but you can't get the like if I just take you from wherever you are without giving you the peace and be like, you should invest in the world, invest harder, you'll forever want more peace. You'll forever want to get the thing that is peaceful. You'll be like, when Elliot stops bugging me, then I can relax and that'll be nice. And then I'll finally get the relaxing thing that I'm after. But if you get the relaxed thing, if you get the peacefulness, if you get like done in that way, then you turn around and go like, oh, now what do I want to do? I want to do stuff. And that's where like there's a
Mhm.
pure and direct path to action. But like don't go there until you're ready. Like go get as
Yeah.
much rest as you need.
Yeah. Like get your good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I hear that. I hear that.
there's definitely like one of
I
the
think I
hard
have too many things going on. Oh, sorry, go.
I was gonna say one of the hard things here is the spiritual path is so confusing. Like getting to the peace seems like a good thing. Getting into the world seems like a good thing. Like which one do I actually want? And it's hard to unravel the difference.
I want to be peacefully in the world.
Right.
And
Great.
I realize that there's a contradiction trade-off and stuff, but um
No,
I'm
I
not
would
really
say that
about
it
either.
seems like there's a contradiction, but those two things don't have to be very far away
Yeah.
from each other.
Yeah, and I'm often at my best when I'm peaceful,
Mm,
right? Because when I'm like burning, it's like I have to do the thing, and then as soon as I do the thing, I've lost the perspective. Really depends what's going on.
mm.
But for this kind of stuff, it's almost always like I'm not actually doing anything. I'm I'm just like talking to people.
So I
Maybe.
guess this may be interesting to you as I like I described the tension, right? And then I describe I can just stop. So the like non-tense be peaceful in the world feels like it's like one step away. Like the reason why I can hold the tension so much is that any day, anytime I want, I can just stop. And the like maximal peacefulness of reality is just like I lean back a little bit and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. And then I'm like, great, this feels really good. And then I'm like, okay, let's get back to it. Let's turn up that tension and let's be in it. And because they are so close, it's so easy for me to maintain the tension. Like otherwise, the tension's constantly burning me.
Hmm. So
And
do you take like breaks? Have you been taking?
like the breaks are moment to moment. So like I just had a breath there, and as I breathed in, there was like a bit of a break on it.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, great, that feels better. Now I can hold more tension.
Hmm. I'm so happy I'm relaxed, so I can take on more things to be tense about.
Right, because I want to care about more of the world from here.
It's funny. What's it like? What's life like this? Like as a spiritual practitioner that gives up the path of peace and walks the path of burning, yearning.
It feels way more meaningful. Like there's a way in which I had to let go of meaningfulness to get to peace, let go of wanting anything. Like it's nice to not want anything, because it's like I've arrived, I've relaxed, I'm at peace. And there was something good in letting go, and then there's also something really good in wanting. Like just it's not like I want everything. It's not like I want like I'm not rushing out to earn money to buy my sports car, sort of thing. But I want to get a fullness of life. And so it feels really rewarding to get that fullness of life, or to yearn for it anyway. Like maybe an idea to bring in here is like trying. If you're trying to learn something, there's something that feels good about trying to learn something. It's just like,
Yeah.
so I have that, like the good, trying, exciting feeling all the time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying hard. This is great.
What is good about trying? What feels good about it, do you think?
It feels like I'm personally invested. It feels like not only do I want a thing, but I'm like on the path to getting it, right? I am putting in effort. Like it feels good to be personally the agent of causality in my desire. Like it's not just I want chocolate, but I haven't even got up to get it. It's like, oh, not only do I want it, but I'm walking step by step to it.
Is it like purpose, would you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Like
But
your
it's
purpose,
not a
really?
static purpose. It's a like dynamically proactive relationship with purpose. Like I walk the purpose that I am in life.
It's like really like yeah, like dynamic, engaged, like living purpose
Right.
and like direction, would you say?
Yes. Like it feels very direction. Let me just I had a book. I think it's in the other room. I have a book that there's a line in it. The book is called Head Heart Hara by Peter Wilberg. And there's a line in it that is something like, humans are beings that mean with our bodies and with our actions and with our words. And we like carve meaning in the world like a scalpel, like carve meaning with our movement. When we decide to move our body through the world, we are saying that no, the world should have my hand over here,
Mm-hmm.
like, rather than how it was.
Yeah,
In that sense,
that's
we are beings, we mean with our bodies by moving them.
that's so powerful. That's like the stuff we keep talking about with the my life is my message.
Right, exactly. That was a Gandhi quote. My life is my. There was a Gandhi was on a train and it was about to pull away, and a reporter yelled at him, what message can I send back to the people? And he scribbled on a piece of paper and he like passed it out the window to the reporter, and it said on it, my life is my message. Humans are beings that mean, like we mean in other people's lives by how we conduct ourselves. And other people go like, wow, I'd like to be like him, or wow, I wouldn't like to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want what he has, or I do want. Hopefully, living a life of purpose means
Some
that
humans are warning signs.
right, right. Learn from my mistakes. Yeah, some humans are more like the warning signs. So humans are beings that mean with their bodies and in that sense, they all of our actions are like I think of meaning making as like a mental thing. Like you have to think, wow, I like food. This is delicious. And then it's meaningful to me to get delicious food or something like that. But it's a bit less mental and a bit more literal in the world. Like it feels meaningful to climb the mountain. Like I got to the top. Like there's a story there of I got to the top, but there's also just a having arrived there and looking at the view from the top of the mountain. You have this sense like of knowing that you have done it.
Of accomplishment.
Right. And there's meaning there just in you having taken the action. Even without the story there's the meaning.
I heard there's a line at the top of Mount Everest.
Ah,
There's
like
like
a
the
line.
flag, just like the highest place, and then there's like a line, and you gotta go up, take a picture, and then you have to go
Oh,
pick.
oh wow. Like you get to the top and then you have to turn around. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So like to me, it's like, yeah, like that's I think like climbing Mount Everest in a way is like this is a pinnacle of accomplishment. You're
Mm.
like the highest point on earth.
Mm.
And so
Yes.
like that always reminds me of that.
Mm.
So you're gonna take a selfie of yourself when you get that the last person?
There will be no, because they need to turn up to the retreat.
Okay.
Also, the retreat's 5 days long and there's intensive group work the whole time. And when it's done, I'll finally be able to rest.
And then you'll have this that sense of accomplishment, and
Right.
I guess
Well,
your rest will be different.
it's also that the thing itself is the prize. Like people might often do like, I'm going to tidy my room and then I can reward myself with a piece of chocolate, right?
Mhm.
Which is a neat little like do the thing, then get rewarded loop. But the
Yeah.
problem with that is if I run out of chocolate, I'm going to not feel like tidying my room anymore. Like if I pair the action with reward, then the reward is the action is
Yeah,
continuing.
you're in extrinsic motivation versus intrinsic
Right.
motivation.
And I've seen this happen with a dog that would play fetch without treats and then was introduced to treats and then wouldn't play fetch without the treats.
Hmm.
So, but
I've heard it's yeah, I heard a story like oh sorry, continue. Yeah.
right. So what you really want is you want the like, I clean my room and then I look around the room and go, wow, this room is so clean. And then I feel rewarded because I have cleaned the room. You want an intrinsic motivation system rather than an extrinsic. Because then it doesn't matter if I do or don't have chocolate. I still clean my room because I feel rewarded in doing that task. So the retreat itself is the reward as well. Like, and also, yes, when I'm done, I'll be able to go like, heck yeah, let's do another one or something. I don't know. Not right away. I'm gonna take a break first.
Yeah, you're gonna bask in your accomplishments,
Right.
and then yeah, and then you're gonna feel the urge towards life again.
To like new life, possibly.
Yeah, this is kind of an exciting adventure we're on because like we're kind of like this is like an emotional journey, and like we don't know how this ends technically because life hasn't happened yet.
Well, part of me kind of knows that the retreat is approaching. So if as and I'd like it to be even better, and I'd like it to have enough participants and all the rest. And the more that I want those things, the more that and like stay with the wanting, the more I can bring them about. But even if I give up now, or like give up, actually, I don't think I can. I think if I gave up for more than 5 minutes, something in me would kick into gear and be like, come on, keep going. Which is neat. But if I did manage to give up, the thing would still happen, would still arrive. It just wouldn't be as good. And then I would have all this rubbish around like feeling guilty or around like I didn't try hard enough or I could have like I could kick a stink of that storm up myself if I wasn't trying hard to make it as awesome as I can.
Yeah, you'd be disappointed in yourself.
Right. So can't be having that.
Yeah. What do you I'm curious if it like post retreat Elliot, like if he could go back in time and talk to you now, what do you think he would say?
Try harder. Cool. Right now, I model him as saying "try harder" or like "keep going."
Okay.
Um,
Like words of encouragement, I guess.
Words of encouragement, but not in a like the words of encouragement could be like you need a holiday, or like take it easier. It's not such a big deal. But that's not actually how I model them in this moment. I model them as like try harder. Come on, you can do it. Which is it's interesting.
That's cool.
Mm. Hopefully it's enjoyable for you to hang out with me and hear my like motivating. It's like I'm in pep talk mode, like constantly.
Yeah. I like it when other people are in stress and I don't have to think about it.
The rest of people around me to be in stress and not myself.
Yeah, because like we're gonna finish this, we're gonna talk a little bit, and then that's gonna be the end of it. Like I don't have to take that stress home with me,
Right.
but I still get to like enjoy it. I think this is like TV shows, like drama shows are a lot of this. Where there's like all this stress, and then you gotta just turn it on when you want, turn it off when you want.
It's also that I feel responsible to need to tell you that like you should be careful and watch that pattern in your life, that you may be causing all the other people around you to hold the stress for you.
Sound like my wife.
Right. I'm not as a blame thing, but the pattern I've seen is often in relationships you have one of the two people in the relationship is having the emotions about the relationship and the other person isn't. Like one of the two is opting out of having those things, and so the other of the two has to like have extra to maintain the balance.
Yeah.
Again, not meant to blame anyone, but
Yeah.
it can sometimes happen.
Yeah, that can definitely happen for sure.
And in that sense, it's important to be noticing if that's happening. Like when this is when I work with couples or like a pair of people, just noticing that one person may be having the emotions, but the emotions belong to both of you. Like the emotions are about the relationship. And in that sense, they are the responsibility of both of you to address, to deal with, to work through, to understand, to manage, to balance out, to make peace with. Just because one person's having it doesn't mean it isn't about the other person too, or caused by the other person, or, I am worried because you are not taking it seriously enough or something. Like
yeah, yes and no.
context.
Yes and no.
Can
Like
also be like one person's just amplified their bullshit and needs to work through it.
Yeah. I think in relationships, you can't take responsibility for the other person's emotional state.
Right, but you can't disown all responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't just be like, hey, you have emotions and that's your problem. Go sort it out. Because that's not really a relationship
Kind
at that point.
Yeah.
It's just you telling someone to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I can do that with television because I mean, I have done this where I'm like, oh, this show, like this and that, and then I just forget about the show and stop watching it, and my life is fine.
Did
Like,
you
it doesn't.
shtisel?
Sorry?
Did you watch the show shtisel?
Shtisel?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I'm not up to date, but
I didn't. I watched probably 3, 4, or 5 episodes. So
so good.
it was interesting, but there was something in the like videography effects where they like, and the way they told the story where they were like, it's awkward. We need to emphasize to the audience that it's awkward. So there's
The whole thing is so awkward. Yeah.
There's awkward music, and the way that we frame these conversations is awkward, and we don't relieve the tension, right? So if you love the sensation of awkwardness or like the fascination of watching someone who's awkward, please watch our show. We're not
feels like
about, but we're going to amplify the awkward. And this just frustrated me to no end. Like half of these conversations could be solved with like turning around and be like, what did you mean by that? Oh, that's what you meant by that. Okay, now I understand. But instead, they just maintain this awkward thread of culture, which I think is like disingenuous to the culture that they were trying to present.
No, it's not. It's like very nostalgic, that show.
Oh man.
like they really captured it well.
Maybe I'm like not awkward enough to be all like, oh, you can't, who lives in this, like I'm like, no one can possibly live at that permanent level of awkwardness. That's not real.
No,
Maybe someone out there is.
the people do.
Crazy.
I mean, I don't think you can permanently, but because
Maybe.
like they do break, right? People do break.
Well, I would just, at some point I would turn around and be like, wow, this is really awkward. If I was like,
But you can't, because it just makes it
situations.
more awkward, and
But
you
that's,
don't
but
know
then
how
the
to follow
tension breaks.
through.
Like you can do something different if you can name.
Yeah, but they can't really name, because like it's like the whole religion is just like it's like off, like
Right,
it's
but all you need is a phrase like,
1 or 2
what do you
degrees
mean by
off.
that? Followed by the phrase, oh, let me explain. Here is why this is confusing.
Yeah, no,
I
but
know
it's
that
like a it's like a minefield, and like if you're diffusing the minefield, like every time you move, there's another mine there.
right. But like I guess this is like because I'm from the rationality space, right? All we need is a little bit of extra communication of like, hey, can I help you with that? Or like, hey, didn't you say the blah 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 blah? I'm not sure. How does that work? Like just very simple, like
Yeah,
dumbass. I'm gonna be the dumbass and say the stupid phrase of like, what do you mean? And then I'm gonna solve everything because I can do that move.
yeah.
Anyway.
But that kind of stuff that's I really like those norms and the rationalist stuff where you can just be like, I don't know what's going on. Can somebody like, can I ask questions? And we're like that's normal and like that's just a part of like our culture. But there's a reason why rationalists are so weird. It's because the rest of the world doesn't do that.
Yes.
And like it's that show's very realistic. It can get grating over time.
Right. Yeah, I lasted a few episodes and the content is like fine. It's the awkward emotional quality that they like
Yeah.
do that really like frustrated me. If I wanted to have an awkward time, I could just do it myself. I don't need a TV show to drag me through it.
I don't even know if I can do awkward so much anymore. I've been like getting more okay with it. Because I used to be like
I think
awkward
I
and
can be
then
with it. I don't think I can deliberately cause lots of awkward experience on purpose just to see what would happen. that
I
feels like
no.
a thing to do.
There's no real reason to do that.
Yeah,
I have done that a couple
feels
times,
cruel.
but it doesn't turn out well.
Mm.
Because I when I was being clever and then outsmarting myself.
Right.
But there is something about like I went through a phase where I was like anything that was awkward, I would just address it, engage with it, and try to fix it. And
Right.
now I'm being much more like okay with like there's a certain amount of awkwardness and tension in our relationship, and like whatever, I got better shit to do than solve it, and it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, because I find a lot of times it comes down to like solving it is like, well, this person has this like huge history, and I'm not gonna be able to like it would be inappropriate for me to like try to solve their problems just in the settings that we're in.
So I think my summary for today is stress good, move towards the fire, and enjoy being a human.
I am not on board with this, so I get it, and I have done it, and I probably will do it again in the future. I feel like we're gonna have an episode one day where it's like reversed.
Right, like peace is good, let go of everything, love it, do nothing.
Like, no, you got to be in life and do stuff. You're gonna be like, no, just be at peace. And then we're gonna like bring up this conversation and be like, oh, I have evidence that you're wrong. So I'm like trying to be very careful on what I say and how I say it, so that when my words come back to bite me, they're like
they're good words, at least
loving bites, not big chomps of flesh.